Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Watch Cringe. Today, we're diving deep into the world of high-end independent watch brands, exploring what makes them so sought after and why they often resale for more of their retail values. We have two incredible guests joining us. First, we have Nhan, who has had a unique journey with Audemars Piguet, but ended up getting banned. And second, we have Chris, a devoted and loyal customer to the NBNF brand. We also have Josh, a funny co-host who recently got a haircut. Wrist check, gentlemen?
Let's do it. All right. I'll start off. Today I have on a really cool Seiko and Rowing Blazers. It's a great fun watch. Nice little personal story. Got it in a swap with a local collector, so it's very meaningful to me. It's just a great watch. Love it.
Chris?
I'm wearing the LM101 white gold purple dial.
Ooh.
Totally nonchalant. I have a 15190 SP Audemars Piguet Royal Oak, 36 millimeter steel, platinum bezel, Nick Faldo limited edition.
That's a mouthful.
It sounds like a Omega. Are you done, Brendan? Are you good?
Yeah. I don't know. The recording was being weird.
Okay.
So,
What are you wearing?
what
Ding-dong?
I'm wearing is my Speedmaster Sapphire Sandwich. But was there anything special about that Seiko rowing blazers that you have?
Yeah, I just told the story about how
Who was the
it was a
local collector?
trade with a member of our local community,
Who
and I
was the
treasure
local?
this watch dearly.
Who is the local?
It was Nhan.
All right. So after the wrist check, Josh.
And he's never made it right.
What do you mean never made it right? It was a good trade.
Misrepresented market value.
I still have this one. You flipped mine.
So
Flip is loose.
do you want to go? Do you want to?
Yeah.
Kick us off?
Nhan, we'll start with you. You had quite a story with AP. Could you share with us what initially brought you to AP as a brand?
Sure. Originally, I'm from the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So back in 2020, they had opened up an AP boutique in Highland Village. So I had visited the boutique and checked out some of their watches. Unlike other collectors, I had already kind of liked the Code 1159, which will factor into why I went down that brand. But my actual first integrated sports watch was a Moser Streamliner, the Green Dragon. And once I had that, I knew I was into integrated sports watches. I had my own quips about that watch in particular, but after I, got past that watch, knowing I wanted to continue to explore that segment of market, and I was okay with a Code 1159 being in the collection at some point, I decided to start building a relationship and joining the AP family.
Ooh, the AP family. I like that. And you bought a number of watches there at the boutique, right?
I did.
So which watches did you buy there at the boutique?
White gold, blue dial, chronograph, Code 1159 was my first piece.
Ooh, nice.
Then I went into black dial, 15500 Royal Oak, and then a white dial Royal Oak chronograph.
So you had quite a relationship there, and you bought a couple pieces also, like secondary as well, right?
I did.
Aside from the one that you're wearing, but
Yep. Secondary, I got a Royal Oak offshore titanium chronograph. That was 43 millimeters, which to this day is my favorite AP watch that I've owned. I've also owned a Code 1159 perpetual calendar, rose gold.
What was the kind of process at AP like to get allocated? What did you have to go through? Like, what were some of the hoops and loops?
So starting off, they encourage you to come in, make an appointment to build your profile of sorts, which is just like your email, contact information. Then you get to see, on LinkedIn where like people snoop on your profile.
wait, really?
Yeah, you get to see like some AP rep names pop up as they sort of like scan your LinkedIn profile.
Oh, wow.
We're using like LinkedIn Premium to get the
Yeah.
dirt.
So you get to preview those things. And then you get to do the song and dance of saying like, okay, well, let's let's build out like your wish list, and then you get to get offered a bunch of stuff that's not on your wish list.
So the 1159 was the first AP that you bought from them, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Was never on my wish list.
It was a sweet watch, though, right?
I
you
liked
enjoyed
it. I liked it, and I liked the rubber textile strap that came on it. Good summer watch.
Yeah, yeah. So now you had a lot of stuff there. They finally look kind of seems like they got you what you were into. Now here in our local group, Nhan is notorious for cycling through his collection like mad. I wouldn't say he's a flipper.
He's not a flipper.
He's definitely not a flipper, but you seem like your tastes, change. You like to see a lot of stuff. Is that right?
He's a man of variety.
Yeah.
He's a man of variety.
Yeah, no one would describe me as a flipper per se. I'm sure your longtime listeners have heard Jay besmirch me on multiple past episodes. Something like Mr. Lose Your Money or like Stay Losing.
Damn.
Things like
That
that.
sounds like Jay.
But,
That's wrong, man. And you said I did you dirty.
oh yeah, I mean, I have it out. I have it out for Jay as well.
They're not mutually exclusive. You both did them wrong.
So how did your unique collecting behavior ultimately affect your relationship with AP?
Well, in some ways, right, I'm a super impulsive buyer, and I'm not particularly picky. So some people will go through the whole process of really researching a piece, seeing if they like it, investigating the history, and then really, spend a lot of time and energy into like yearning for a piece, wait for a particular special moment, and then, act on it, and then they have a whole story they can tell at Talking Watches or something if they ever make it big, right? And I don't really approach collecting that way at all. Sometimes it's just right moment, headspace. I'm impulsive. So, for example, with AP, I didn't really request any of those pieces. It was just a timing thing. And I said, you know what, I'm ready. So I don't make that much money such that I can keep consuming without letting things go. So in that way, I don't develop a particular strong emotional connection when pieces come in. And so it doesn't take much for me to cycle them out.
What's your annual tax bracket? Your federal tax bracket.
Good Lord.
I'd say I'm like upper
You
middle.
don't have to answer that.
So you definitely churned through stuff. Needless to say, none of those APs that you got from the boutique they're no longer with us, so to speak.
They're no longer with us.
Now-
I mean, to lend to the earlier question, that first customer archetype of, we feed you what things that you want and you buy and you can consume. I met that criteria. So they kept feeding me more of maybe some pieces that weren't as sought after by other collectors, like blue dials in particular, or a jumbo or something like that. And like
This was over how many years too, Nhan? A couple of years, right?
like a couple years.
Yeah, a couple of
Pretty
years.
short though.
2 years.
2 years.
2
Now, recently, I think you went back to them to express interest in a piece. Is that correct?
I did.
What were you trying to get?
A 37 millimeter Royal Oak. And now this is after I had already sold my pieces, but they were still on my profile in AP.
Oh, they track you, huh? They want to see
track.
what you've
So
got.
like they sort of give you an initial 2-year warranty for the piece, and then if you register it into their CRM, then one, they can keep tabs on where that watch goes, and then the kicker is you can extend the warranty, and then last year they gave the benefit of like if it gets stolen, they'll replace it.
Oh wow. Okay, so you reach out, wanting to get this 37 mil. You go to your sales rep.
Yeah,
and,
I
what
approached
goes
it.
down?
I approached it in bad faith, to be honest. I mean, another collector in our local group has gone absolutely haywire collecting Royal Oaks, and I was getting a little jealous. And
You wanted to catch up.
I wanted another piece,
Yeah.
and I thought, well, let me see what my profile looks at. Now, a lot of the other pieces have come and gone like the first Code 1159 came and went within a year, but they'd never held it against me or like reached out. So it didn't seem like a big deal. I'd also been in touch with the rep, basically saying like, hey, I traded these to get into the QP or something like that.
He was cool with you trading those for other APs.
Other APs, yeah.
And it's an 1159, which is not the most, flippers don't go after that particular piece, right?
Yeah.
So you're kind of still in good standing.
Good standing. But when I looked at my profile, I was like, oh man, these Royal Oaks that have been long gone, maybe like over 6 months, respectively, we're still on my profile, and I guess they're just floating around on the gray market. Let me ask for another piece and squeeze this.
One last dropout from them.
One last dropout. Yeah.
And then something happened, right? You got a text from him later on after you had approached him about the watch, and he kind of sent you a text out of the blue, right?
Yeah. He sent me a cryptic text on maybe like a Tuesday morning at 10 a.m. He goes, "How's the watch?" And I knew immediately I needed to go check my AP profile, and the watches were missing from the profile. And
You felt your stomach drop.
That is such
he
a
got caught red-handed.
That's such a dirty way to go about it. Be like, so how's the watch? I would have just milked it and been like, oh, it's awesome, bro. I wear it every day, and showed him an old picture of it.
With a Photoshop newspaper dated from
write
today.
the date on it. Yeah, with a Sharpie.
Yeah.
But you knew that wouldn't have worked.
I've had plans previously of taking 31 wrist shots of the date wheel being rotated to keep in. Now, that would work for, let's say, like Rolex with your Rolex AD. I would absolutely recommend you, if you're trying to milk that relationship, to go about that way. But for AP, they have the warranty and this whole
it's all plugged into
system.
technology. Because you think that your AD must have been notified or had at least checked your profile. Something came up or he got notified, right? So they're all connected. They know, they're like watching over you.
Yeah.
So now that the jig is up,
Probably could have had the watch that he requested, and he was like, well, let me go look at this guy.
Yeah.
It was in stock, man. You were about to get the call.
So I thought that to be the case because when I got my second Royal Oak from him, it was more or less exactly a year from when I got the first one. So
Once a year.
We were
feast.
coming up on the time to eat, but based on sort of other evidence I've gathered from other band AP collectors.
Did you guys have a community?
Yeah, sort of. Yeah. They sort of
Discord for that?
surface up. You end up connecting with other sort
Connect
of
on the
blacklisted.
trauma.
It's like the cheaters lobbies in COD.
Yeah.
They put you into a new email list that would share all the emails instead of like a group.
But I will say the experience was pretty good with AP. They sent me champagne on my birthday.
Wow.
They sent me collector's books.
Wow.
A lot of swag. So
Do you think you could still purchase an AP from another boutique if you started in New York or something? It seems like they're all the tech.
yeah, I think it was all connected. So from talking to other collectors, it looks like it was more of maybe like AP North America sending a blast out to all the boutiques of saying like, hey, this is the list of clients we flagged. It's up to you to follow up with them.
Dang.
Do you regret what happened, or would you do it all again the same way or different? Like how do you reflect on this?
I don't regret any of it.
Could you not argue you traded those for the AP you have now?
Could. I don't think he cares though, because
Probably not.
they sort of set a precedent about what type of collectors they want, and they want people that will hang on to the pieces and not let them sift out into the market, so they can really retain the value that way. So it's not. Part of it is we want enthusiasts and AP collectors that are very interested and invested in the brand, which I still love AP and their watches, but I'm not at the ideal price bracket or
Tax bracket
of the clients that they want.
Yeah, so they want you to.
They've moved up.
They moved up
Upstream
market
on the whatever the wealth.
They want you to inflate the value of all the stuff that no one wants by holding on to it. So dirty.
Yeah.
I mean, that's ultimately why I sold my AP, was just because they're the way they've been as a brand the last few years. How they like focused on the wealthiest of clients, and it's like you have all these collectors who they could probably only afford one or two watches, and then that's what they want, and they can't get it because they're trying to.
It's not like you were like making a ton of money off of these trades and like throw them into profit. Like it's kind of mostly like broke even across the journey. It seems like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely in the red because the first hit from the code 1159 is not recoverable until you start buying like their 6-figure watches. Basically,
It's like Sean John, not recoverable. So do you still consider yourself like a collector of AP, or does it feel like you don't belong with the brand anymore? Or do you feel like kind of a distaste for it in some capacity?
no, I mean, when I first stopped into the boutique, and I hadn't known a lot about AP in the AP collector circle yet. It was more of like, I thought I kind of knew a lot about sort of watches, and the goal was like diversifying collections, but the way they've curated their collectors is like these are like all AP collectors.
I see.
Like really strongly dedicated into it. And at the time I had told the guy, hey, I really want to be unique as far as like having unique AP pieces. When I got into a room of AP collectors, I feel like this piece does that and kind of meets that initial sort of like mission statement of like what I wanted to accomplish with AP. To do that within the framework that AP wants you to do, you got to be spending big bucks to get to like piece uniques or like really rare allocations. I'm not gonna get there, at least within my horizon right now.
So Nhan and Chris, why do you think brands go to such lengths to ensure their buyers are not flipping their watches?
I mean, I think it's over the last few years, everyone's really started looking at watches as investments rather than watches. I've been collecting, I think Nan and I both been collecting for years before 2019, 2020, when things started skyrocketing. And before then, like you could haggle with ADs or different dealers to get prices of like watches we're looking at now down. I mean, that's how I got my Royal Oak. So I had no loyalty to any AD or brand because I found what I liked, and then I found how to get the best price. Now I think you're having to do the brand kind of song and dance to please them to get what you want, but also, as he said, sometimes you have to spend extra money.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, AP was really at the forefront of going into the boutique model and pulling their pieces out of the 80s and whatnot. And I think the results kind of have shown on how they've been able to climb and, jump basically almost every other brand outside of Rolex and Patek. So they're in the top 3 right now through just that strategy alone of like being able to control how the product is distributed, setting up the frameworks of what types of customers they want to work with, and for better or worse, to actual enthusiasts and collectors, it doesn't really matter to them from a business standpoint.
Yeah, because it seemed like you're still an enthusiast for AP, by the way, but it seems like you got caught because your collecting behavior didn't align up with what a typical enthusiast would be, I feel like, and you kind of got maybe labeled differently. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like I really don't like. I'm kind of turned off when the brands kind of make you do that whole journey thing because it's like they almost like lock people in like just to them, and it's a lot of watch enthusiasts and collectors want things from different people, so it's like it unless you just have ungodly sums of money, there's no way you're gonna get like a more desirable AP and a desirable Rolex and a desirable Pat. Like it's
You're gonna
really
transfer
tough to spread your
Yeah.
to have a diverse collection these days without just having a
ton
mountain
of money.
cash.
Because you would eventually take some of the money that you get from those pieces to buy other watches. So, like, you're keeping that into the watch fund.
I mean, I think if I don't necessarily mind how AP's doing it, but I wish they would allow you to pick and choose the actual watches you would take versus just calling you up and saying, "Hey, we have this reference,
right.
yay or nay," and then you're feeling pressured of like, "Well, shit, I need to buy this because I do want this," and so then you buy something that you know you're not gonna love, and it's probably not gonna stay in your collection long, but then that hurts you.
Yeah, because it's a big
So if
financial.
you could like at least say, "Hey, this is what I'd like," and they just maybe had different tier categories, so you have to have at least 2 of these pieces to get this one, and then 2 of these to get this one, or whatever it may be. It's like then you could say, "Okay, I can now look at these lists and choose the watches that I would actually like."
So, Chris, turning to you, what turned you on to NBNF, and why are you such a loyal steward of the brand?
I'm a loyal. I don't know if I'm necessarily a loyal steward.
Well,
but
you haven't flipped your LM101 yet. So
I've had it
thus
less
far-
than a month.
Well, thus far, you're loyal.
I mean, I just like the way that Max set out, Max and company set out for the brand's mission. He wanted to put, I guess, like unique pieces out on people's wrists and make the things that he wants to be watches. That's why you see a lot of the kind of crazy design horological machines that, they're definitely not for everyone, but they're kind of like those. As a kid, you think like, oh, that'd be a crazy looking watch or something. And he's making them.
Do you see yourself buying other MBNFs in the future?
I mean, there's a couple nice ones, but they are significantly more expensive, even from their entry level LM101. So
unless you,
it's hard to say. Could trade into it or something. I don't know.
And from your experience, how does MBNF manage its relationships with clients to maintain loyalty and manage market demand? Like, if you ever wanted to sell that watch, your LM101, to get into another MBNF, do they have a patrimony service like Jorn has, like where you can sell it back to them, and kind of do they want you to sell the watches back to them and they resell them, or do you have to like wait a certain number of years? Like, what's the policy around like reselling their sort of?
They really didn't specify, to be honest. But you do register it, and you, like, similar to AP, but you become part of what they call the tribe. It's just owners of MBNF pieces, and then you register with your name, email, the serial number, so they know.
Oh, the tribe comes after you if you sell it and they beat you down.
They track your house down and
Spears,
burn it.
bow and arrows.
So far, it's just being invited to the islands and vacationing with them, right?
Yeah.
Are you excited to go to Tribe Island?
Is that what island is that?
I don't know about that one. Yeah, I don't know if they would necessarily blacklist you or ban you or whatever. I'm sure they would make it a lot more difficult to get a piece. I mean, more than it already was, at least for me, coming in new. They initially told me 3 to 4 years, then it jumped to 7, and then it jumped to unknown, and then back down to 3 to 4, and then 2 weeks later they said in 6 months it'll be ready.
It's like a roller coaster of time. So both of you guys, are into watches and brands that definitely have a kind of air of exclusivity.
That's a sick word.
Yeah. How do you guys kind of feel about those brands that kind of pitch themselves that way or operate their businesses that way as a more kind of exclusive market?
For the bigger brands, I think it's different than, say, even M&F's kind of in that mid-level size, maybe still large, even though they don't make a ton of pieces each year. But you think of some of these newer independents where you have to build those relationships if you want their watches, because they make so few a year. Like Brendan and I did earlier this year, we flew to Geneva on a whim to go meet several independent companies, but one in particular, Simon Brett, because basically everyone and he said, like, I want you to come to Geneva to look at my watches, which is kind of like that first barrier to jump, or that first hurdle to jump, that says, like, these guys really do appreciate my brand, my watches, that they're willing to fly out here to just look at them.
Yeah. Do you guys think that like those communities that those brands kind of foster, that spring up around them, kind of contribute to their valuation or their kind of place in the market or in collectors' eyes?
Yeah, I mean, you see examples of that with Jorn, right? Yeah. So all of the Jorn boutiques and where they're placed, I mean, I'm on the mailing list for those, so I'll see them like periodically say, come out for this Tuesday night event, or they'll bring camels in for some sort of wacky.
What, camels?
Camel? Like the cigarettes?
No, like the live animal. They'll bring
The actual camel?
Yeah,
That doesn't make any sense.
that's what I
You get to ride
There
the
was no
camel?
theme associated with
That's
it.
not even
They
a
were-
luxury
But
animal.
who wouldn't want to see a camel?
Yeah.
That's actually kind of sick.
I could care less.
Well, that's just their
Better than
shtick.
like a dog, though. You know, it's a little more exclusive. You know, when do you get to see camels in the U.S.?
But dogs are fun and friendly and cute.
Yeah, but camels have multiple humps on the back.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool.
It's a sex thing, is what you're saying.
Yeah, it's a sex thing that they do.
Okay.
A couple of years ago, like the Jorn reps, they flew out to Austin, Texas, and they like gathered up existing collectors and prospective collectors to hang out and go out. So it's a
They didn't gather me up there.
Yeah, me neither.
Woo! Yeah, me neither. And I'm on their mailing list, and I bought a T-shirt from them.
Did you really?
No,
have they emailed you?
No.
from New York City boutique.
Still
yet?
not.
Oh man.
Damn. Well, it sounds like a sore subject. What was your most memorable experience in your dealings with AP, Nhan?
Probably nothing really. There's nothing memorable.
Not even champagne on your birthday?
champagne.
Yeah, they would. The random shipments were nice, but maybe a few years from now, I'm not even going to think about that.
Wow.
Probably like the text message from my rep when he blacklisted me or was trying to set me up. I mean,
He's trying to set you up like
it
a
was
sting
like-
operation.
It was a probe.
Oh wow! Knowing
that
he already
felt
knew the answer.
entirely
So right
unnecessary.
now he's only
Just-
blacklisted in AP North America.
Yeah.
But if he would have texted back saying, "Oh, it's great. I'm loving it right now."
I'm sure once I make it big, I'm friends with John Mayer. He'll get me back in, he'll get me a jumbo as my first
Okay.
reintroduction.
So for now, though, it was all not really worth it.
Not really. I mean, the other thing, the follow up to that sort of text exchange was, that's unfortunate. You and I can no longer do business, and the whole statement of what
That's
what
a
is the
quick,
business
swift-
part of this? Where
What a
like,
bitchy way to say you're banned.
It is, yeah.
Did you ask to
It's
talk to
some
his
attitude,
manager?
You know? Yeah, you should. Yeah, where's your manager? I think he's misinformed. So, Chris, what has been your most memorable experience with MB&F?
Fuck, I don't know.
talking to Cedric at Watch Time.
Yeah, I mean that's probably just going to New York a couple years in a row, talking with them, seeing them, and getting getting to know them and let them know that you're interested. Like
Not
you're,
your special
not-
tour of the house.
That tour was sick.
that was fun.
Remember,
Yeah.
you and Cedric were, he was in the trainer position and you were he was in the teacher position, you were in the student position, and you guys were looking at the 40X.
Yeah,
on
that was
the
pretty
watches.
cool.
That
was a cute moment.
So wholesome.
It was.
What were we looking at? We were looking at the purple Bel Canto, I think.
Yeah.
But don't you think that FaceTime you made with them was a key of moving you up the list from that 7-year mark to less than 6 months? Get your money ready.
So the second time we were in New York when all of us were there, Cedric actually reached out to me, I think probably a month before New York, just asking if I was still interested. And I said, yes, I am. I do still want the watch. And then I'll be in New York. And if you're there, I'd love to, chat with you. And he said, yeah, stop by. So when New York happened, I stopped by. He pulled up, got his phone, pulled up my details, and confirmed everything, and was like, okay. And then right there, he said, I think we can get you one in 3 to 4 years, which dropped the 7-year down to that, or the unknown kind of down to 3 to 4, which, I was like, okay, I'm happy with that. And then I came back again the next day, or like over the weekend, just stopped by several times. And
Several times.
well, cause it's just the whatever hall. So I just kept walking by, and I'd really only look at this watch. And then one of the other guys, I think he's the North American rep, was like, man, because I was wearing a purple hoodie. He's like, that looked really good on you. And I was like, well, I'm waiting for one, so we'll see in a couple years. And he was just like, well, who you with, or who you talking with? And I was like, Cedric. He's like, oh, he'll take care of you. And I was like, yeah, I'm not worried. He just told me earlier, a couple years. And then sure enough, we get home 2 weeks later, and I get an email saying, 6 months, it's ready.
Sick.
And that North American rep, he advised you not to get on multiple lists.
Right, because like earlier before we actually went to the watch time event, we were in Cellini, and they offered me a slot for that year, but it'd be roughly a year time frame. And I well, I'm already on a list, let me hold back. And then sure enough, like Sunday, he said, if you got on the North American rep said, if you got onto another list, we'd know, and it would actually hurt your chances.
Okay.
So I was like, well, shit.
Well, I think we have 2 last questions. I'll ask mine, and then Josh, you have yours. How do you see the future of high-end brands and high-end watches changing and evolving in the next few years?
I think a lot of it's already doing with the AP model of boutique only, which comes with that. That means the brand itself has more control of who gets their pieces. Everyone hears the Rolex issues with ADs and having to buy jewelry or other kind of shittier watches. You definitely aren't going to like, and you're going to lose a lot of money. So I see brands going that route, or just building communities. Like a lot of these indie watch companies are building these communities. They do events like Nhan says, Journe, and
Camels.
even smaller ones, De Bethune, and some of these other ones they're just
Popping up.
Yeah.
Nhan?
Yeah, I think the tide's clearing out now. So I think in the Eric Wind podcast, he sort of mentioned, despite Journe's sort of high value or pricing in the secondary market, it takes quite a long time to
Depth
sell.
of market, yeah.
Yeah.
There's not that many people lined up for it as a Rolex or something, right?
Yeah. So as the market cools, we've brought in a lot of new collectors and enthusiasts and whatnot. The amount of money or willingness they are to spend indiscriminately almost, or will probably decrease. And now it'll be probably more less hype in trying to get unique pieces amongst your friends, and back to the whole hey, I'm really jiving with this brand, and I appreciate what they're trying to do, their design language, and things like that. Less so I need to get a Journe because I want to be part of that community necessarily.
Yeah.
And maybe some people might be turned off by Journe's accusations or how he conducts himself and things like that.
All right. Final question. Each of you answer this. What is the one piece of advice that you'd give to a new collector looking to get into collecting some of these high-end brands?
Want me to go?
It depends on what their goals are. But give me an example of a goal. Not to lose money, or
No cheating here. You just someone wants to get into it. What's your one?
What's
piece of
your
advice?
Spitballing.
Yeah, what's your advice?
This is you
Could be anything.
freestyling.
Freestyle.
yeah. So I would say, if you're not connecting with the piece, feel free to move on from it. And the most important things are wrist time, and that's how I personally build a connection with a watch. Like I said, I don't really buy watches for sentimental purposes and things like that, or to commemorate anything. So the ways that I get connected to a piece is really wearing it out in the real world, how it makes me feel when I wear it and things like that. And as a result, I try to keep my collection pretty small in number because there's no connection having a piece sit in a box and whatnot. So for me, if you're itching to move to another piece, every time you're learning a little bit about yourself along the way and what you like, what you appreciate, things like that. So you got to be willing to let go if you're not swimming in cash.
All right.
Chris,
So what was the question again?
what is your fucking
Advice.
What
What advice would you give?
Yeah, what advice do you give to somebody who wants to get into collecting one of these high-end brands or buying one of their watches? Fuck.
Oh, while you think, I will say specifically for high-end brands, the higher the price, the harder it is in terms of liquidity. So Rolex, you can explore Rolex day in, day out with no sort of like harm to your bank account, more or less. But once you start collecting like a Moritz Grossman, you might be sitting on that piece for a long time trying to sell it if it doesn't jive with you.
Yeah, I think I'd say something similar is first off, buy what you like. Don't ever chase another watch because you have to buy a watch to chase another watch. That's just my personal opinion. That's why I don't have relationships with ADs and boutiques, just mainly because of that. But you also need to find the community. Each of these, like especially higher end brands, have a somewhat of a collector community, and some of them may not jive with you. Like, kind of going back to AP is a lot of the newer AP collectors. I just don't find myself like being similar to. No, you're not new. You're. I'm saying like the newer ones that they've kind of tailored to. It's just like
2 years.
I don't jive with them. So find that community that you appreciate within that brand.
All right. That concludes it. Thank you, gentlemen. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, all.